A 4-day amber extreme heat warning for parts of England and Wales is due to come into force at midnight. The UK's largest water company says that people will have to use and waste less water to deal with the effects of hotter, drier summers. Thames Water is due to impose a hosepipe ban on 15 million customers in London and southern England soon. As the heat across the country continues to build, an amber weather warning comes into force tomorrow, lasting until Sunday. The continued dry weather is causing real problems for farming and for agriculture. Our environment editor, Justin Rowlatt, is on a farm near Cirencester in Gloucestershire. Justin.
Yes, just think what this summer's second brutal heatwave means for the UK's farmers. Most of them are, of course, utterly dependent on the weather. I've been trying to find out what effect it's having on them and what impact it could have on food prices. Farmers' fields are their bank account. A healthy harvest means a healthy income and money to invest for next year's crop. But look, the fields have been desiccated by months of low rainfall. It is a disaster for many farmers.
It can't sustain itself.
David is trying to grow turnips to feed his cattle.
Not looking very happy. Very dry. It's just not enough moisture, so most likely this crop will fail now, and we're running out of time to re-drill it.
David is already feeding his cattle fodder he set aside for winter. Without the turnips and with grain prices at record highs, it'll cost him a fortune to feed them through to next year. And don't think his problems won't affect you, because what happens on farms like this helps determine the price we all pay for food. Extreme weather almost always means bad harvests, less food. That's right, means higher prices for all of us. And it isn't just the UK. Crops in much of Europe have been affected too, and that is just the start. India, China, Brazil and the US have all seen yields hit by unusually hot and dry weather this year. Now add in the impact of the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
We're producing less of our key crops. We have less production effectively when harvest happens. And this means that supply is limited. And therefore when people try to buy this supply, the prices then move upwards, and it impacts the consumer, impacts the farmer, impacts a wide range of market players that have to deal with these weather issues.
We all know what will break us out of this cycle.
I'm just looking for rain. That's all I need, is the temperature to go down and rain, and just have some proper, decent rain, and then everything will feel so much better and it will start to grow.
By next week we'll lose that intense heat.
But the forecast from the Met Office is offering no guarantees of that.
There's a regime change happening next week. We expect to see some heavy showers, some thunderstorms potential there. Not everywhere is going to get that rainfall. A lot of places are going to miss it, but at least there's a chance next week.
So a chance of rain for some, which means there's only one thing farmers like David can do. They've got to hope for the best. That's all they've got left. You really get a sense of how vulnerable farmers are when you come to a field like this. Just look how dry it is. And that's another problem. If one spark, look at this, and all of this would go up in flames. In fact, earlier this afternoon when we came here about half an hour ago, there was a fire on the horizon there. There was another one over there. Just another worry for Britain's farmers during this ferocious heat wave.
As the long hot summer continues, another young life has been lost while cooling off in water. A man died after going missing at a lake in Hounslow at tea time yesterday. That was 24 hours after a 14-year-old boy was found dead in a lake in CHESHUNT. There are warnings tonight. Online videos of people jumping into open water could be fueling the problem. And of course, it's only going to get hotter as we now head into days of what the Met Office calls extreme heat. Our correspondent Simon Harris has more.
On baking hot days, it's a popular beauty spot. But while the cool waters of the Bedfont Lakes Country Park in West London might look inviting, unauthorised swimming here is banned. There are emergency lifebuoys, but no lifeguards. Yesterday, a 22-year-old man disappeared after taking a dip. Police spent more than 6 hours searching for the missing swimmer. A helicopter was called in to join divers and officers in small boats. Shortly after midnight, the man's body was pulled from the water.
I would really urge the public not to swim in open water like this. We run supervised sessions with lifeguards so that if there is any difficulty, there is some support there. but unsupervised. We just don't know what is happening underwater, the temperature of the water.
Today's tragedy is the 5th drowning in London and the home counties this summer. On July the 4th, 17-year-old Nikolai Topa drowned after going for a swim at FAIRLOP Waters in Redbridge. On the 21st, 14-year-old Brian Sassu went into the Thames at Tags Island in Richmond to cool off. On Saturday, 11-year-old Kira Hill drowned during a birthday party at Liquid Leisure, a water park in Windsor. And yesterday, the body of a missing 14-year-old was found after he disappeared below the water at a lake at CHESHUNT in Hertfordshire.
It's really important people understand it's dangerous. It's dangerous because you can have what's called cold water shock. It's dangerous because of the currents that can pull you under, but also it's dangerous because often the water is far deeper than you thought, even though because you're a good swimmer, you may think it's okay.
High tide on the Thames, and the Port of London Authority is looking for anyone who might be putting themselves at risk. Especially worrying are copycats inspired by challenges on social media.
There's been a high number of people jumping off of bridges and entering the river not knowing that the tide does rise and fall up to 7 metres at a time, and the amount of passenger boats and recreational users on the river, they're going to put themselves in danger.
On popular stretches of water like this near Richmond, the launches are out every day. They check paddleboarders are wearing life jackets and warn any swimmers of the dangers. With more hot days ahead, the river authorities are under no illusions about the deadly lure of open water in a heat wave. Simon Harris, ITV News, Richmond.
Well, as London braces for days of extreme temperatures, the heat is having a devastating effect on our environment. From parched lawns to dried up water features and trees losing their leaves, this summer has taken a severe toll on National Trust sites too. Millions are facing the prospect of a hosepipe ban in the next few weeks, which could make our ground even drier, sparking a risk of wildfires. Callum Watkinson reports.
As alert levels climb along with the temperatures, there was a warning from the National Trust today that much of the flora and fauna across the hundreds of thousands of acres it manages cannot survive much longer without rain. This plant is often chosen to create hedgerows because it can withstand most conditions, but not constant heat in the high 30s.
Andy, you wanted to show us this berberis that you're very worried about.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite a tough shrub. It's a good hedging plant. But of course, we haven't had any significant rainfall for 5 months. We've had exceptional hot temperatures, and this has lost out to the large trees around here. They're taking all the resources.
The National Trust looks after 250,000 hectares of countryside and 500 historic properties, most of them with gardens like this. Now, what we're seeing everywhere here at Osterley Park are these piles of brown leaves all over the ground, the sort of thing, of course, you would normally associate with autumn.
As water levels in rivers and reservoirs head steadily in one direction, the Environment Secretary met today with water company bosses and said all are following drought plans. A hotly anticipated hosepipe ban for London is very much in the pipeline, but isn't coming just yet.
We are taking a go, no-go decision next week. We're then legally required to consult on a proposal to introduce a ban. We're anticipating consulting for about a week, and then the ban would come in. So we're looking basically at 2 weeks' time.
Commercial organisations are often exempt from bans, but the National Trust cannot save these trees with sprinklers.
That 40-degree heat we had 10 days ago, all the leaves have gone crispy and brown on this shrub, which really is worrying.
So the leaf drop is a concern, but the fact that the leaves are dying on the branch is worse.
Far worse. I mean, I've not seen that to this extent with shrubs in this country, where that 40-degree heat has burnt the leaves on the plant.
For head gardeners across the National Trust's estate, this is no time to relax. Callum Watkinson, ITV News, Osterley Park.
While temperatures aren't expected to reach the 40-degree peak like last month, this heat wave is expected to last longer. It comes as the Met Office reported Kew Gardens, Shoeburyness in Essex and Wisley among 10 places in the UK to have had less than 250 millimetres of rain since last November. Sally is in Wisley for us now. Sally, those numbers are really very low, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and particularly in the last couple of months they've had next to no rain here. I mean, look how brown it is. This isn't even, though, of course, the worst scenes we've seen across the capital. Now let me show you this chart here with the temperatures that are heading our way over the next few days. This is why we've got an extreme heat warning in place, heading up into the mid-30s. So as you said, Duncan, not as hot as July, but this is a longer period of hot weather, and we're going to have hot nights too, so it's hard for things to cool down. Is there going to be any rain? I know people are desperate to know, particularly if they're not on holiday. Let's take a look at the pressure chart. High pressure we've had over us, keeping things settled. That is slowly going to slip away to the northeast, and that will allow for some low pressure to come up from the south. So by Monday we might have some showers, but it's not guaranteed. There's a lot of uncertainty and the models aren't all in alignment now.